Welcome back to Nerdium, the podcast that researches all of the world's main events and issues just so that we can accurately avoid talking about them and focusing on the real important things like gaming, comics, and what's good to watch. I'm your host, Matt, and as always, my co-host, the goose to my maverick, Carrie the Big Bald Nerd. We're back after our long break where Carrie disappeared into the wild and I toured the countryside solving mysteries and collecting bottle caps. San Diego Comic-Con has just passed and dropped a myriad of goodies to tantalize us nerds. I'm sure some of us have already started dutifully working on their YouTube analysis videos, breaking down every frame of every trailer just for some Easter eggs. Carrie and I recap some of our most memorable moments to come out from this year's Comic-Con. So, when you're ready, let's get back at it. Carrie, hit the music. After a very long break of no recordings or episodes in the last month and a half.
Well, between technical difficulties and just the simple fact that it's the summertime, and I think that we needed a little bit of a break. I mean, all work and no play make Matt and Carrie grumpy boys.
Yeah, but who's kidding? We weren't enjoying the sun. We were locked in a room somewhere playing video games in the dark.
Yeah, but that's still fun. That's like the fun for us. We are the basement dwellers that lurk in the night eating Doritos and drinking Mountain Dew.
Yeah, might actually turn into dust if we go out in the direct sunlight.
And that's the problem. You can't be too safe under these circumstances. Why risk anything?
Yeah. A lot has been going on since we've been off on our little break. The big thing is the 2018 San Diego Comic-Con was on this past weekend.
Oh, what a feast for the eyes that always is.
Mm-hmm. But before we get into that, we're going to do a little shout out to Mr. Ryan Little of Ryan Little Comics. He sent us over a couple issues of his Prometheus comic book. Gave it a little look. It's pretty awesome if you like Greek mythology and then kind of a modernization of it, where the main character Prometheus is this badass kind of drifter guy. You should give it a look-see. You can follow him on Twitter. He's got his Kickstarter going for it and everything.
I would strongly recommend reaching out, having a look. We all have our favorite comic books. Like you're a Superman guy. I'm definitely a Batman guy. Whether you no matter what you like, no matter what your wheelhouse is comic book wise, remember that Stan Lee and Jeff Johns and everybody, they were all starting out somewhere. Give your palate a good little bit of a cleanse, reach out, try something new.
Yeah.
You might like it. You might find something really great and be there at the bottom floor. Or you might not like it and hey, what's the loss? I have a stack of comic books upstairs that I never liked, but I have a stack more that I did because I tried something different. Exactly.
And it's always kind of cool to kind of stumble on these little indie artists that aren't in the big games with Marvel or DC. They bring something different to the table. And
well, look at musicians that are found on YouTube. And all of a sudden they're the biggest and greatest thing. Well, comic book artists and comic book creators come from somewhere too.
Mm-hmm.
And all of us with our favorites, whether it's some weird indie comic that you got into in the 80s or 90s, or even the mainstream stuff, everybody started somewhere. And Prometheus is a pretty solid read. It deals with all the stuff that we like as comic book readers. It's got the drama. It's got superheroes by way of superpowers.
Yep.
Who the hell doesn't like the Greek gods, man?
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. So yeah, give that a check out and let us know what you think. And on to the glory that was San Diego Comic-Con. That's the mecca of Comic-Cons. So
it can't be because we weren't there this year. But I'm going to give them the opportunity to correct that.
Yeah, maybe next year.
And make amends for next year. Maybe our listener can reach out and say, hey, you really need to send them there.
Yeah, they know our email. They can send us those plane tickets to fly all the way to San Diego from Ottawa.
You know what? I will fly to San Diego. They just have to give me the tickets and the entrance pass, and I'm good to go.
Okay.
I'm willing to foot the bill.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'll cover my own expenses. I'm a big boy nowadays. Yeah. Once in a while.
I think baby steps at Ottawa Comic-Con should maybe...
Man, you just got to hit the ground running.
Yeah, go for big fish first.
That's right. If you tackle the big whale, everything else is easy.
Yeah. So, flipping through some of the pictures of this year's Comic-Con, the cosplay was unreal. That's getting to a competitive level. They're going pro now.
Yeah, it's myself personally. At no point in time have I ever wanted to cosplay because I have neither the desire nor the figure to cosplay. But
you haven't found the right character to cosplay.
I guess so. I mean, I'm just waiting for that one comic book character with the rockin' dad bod, and I'm all in. But I see some of these people, like, the work, and I've watched some documentaries of people that do it. Like, it's not my bag, but man, when you something like San Diego Comic-Con is just where it's done at a level that is just unreal to me, man.
Yeah, it's not a place where you go and you test out your kind of costume making abilities. You can have fun with it.
Like, I've been to the Toronto Comic-Con a couple of times, and it's fun. Like, everybody, a bunch of people get dressed up. It's all good to go. But to the level of San Diego, it's not even close. Yeah. Not even close.
Like, some of the people, it's almost like a full-time gig for them. They tour around, they do like the whole circuit. Yeah, they put a lot of time into their stuff.
There's a lot of people that get paid pretty damn good money to cosplay too. And rightfully so. Like, it's an art form. Like, these people are a different caliber of model altogether. Get rewarded for that.
All right, so the big thing that everybody that isn't at Comic-Con waits to see is the trailers and previews for all the eye candy that's going to be coming out, hitting the big screen and the little screen.
Yes, sir.
So we got all the trailers, all the little teasers.
Good and bad.
Yeah, good and bad.
I'm going to say, instead of saying bad, I'll just sum it up by saying concerning.
Yeah.
It was concerning, some of the trailers.
Yeah. And you never know, like, Inhumans looked somewhat decent when their first trailer kind of popped out.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
But, I mean, this... so I guess we'll just swing right into talking about the Teen Titans trailer. Like, tonally, what do you think for the show? What they're presenting as the tone? Because as we know, DC can change the tone depending on how the public reacts to the trailer.
They can change the tone mid whatever you're watching.
Yeah.
Like Suicide Squad.
So,
like, it could be a thing where in one episode, it could have been maybe 4 episodes they decided to make into one. Just DC has this weird kind of ADD. They just can't focus on
you're right
in front of them. So,
we talked about this before with people throwing stuff at the wall just to see what sticks. And I mean, everything from DC seems to be so sticky lately. Like, it's just like, I love the Teen Titans. I think they're great. Mm. I wasn't a huge fan of the comic books, but I was a big enough fan of the Cartoon Network series. Like, it was just fun, kitschy, silly fun.
Yeah.
And I remember hearing about this coming out, and it was going to be mature rated, and I'm like, all right, cool. Like, let's keep the dark DC vibe going, I guess.
Yeah.
But when I actually saw what was going on, like, the actor portraying Dick Grayson looks great.
Yeah.
The actor portraying Raven looks fine. Mm-hmm. I kind of raised an eyebrow for Starfire.
Yeah.
Only because she's the, outside of Gar being Beast Boy, she's the most notably alien character.
Yeah.
Orange skin, green eyes, bright orange hair. Ugh, I want to be proven wrong. I really want this to be good. If only because they're using it to launch the DC streaming service, which I'm going to start throwing money in, but it's on the condition that it's going to be good. I'm not going to pour money after bad just because I like the comic book franchise. Yeah.
And so the initial kind of watching it, a few things came to mind. Like, it's definitely going for dark. Mm-hmm. It's going for that mature content. Teen Titans, it's gone through like a lot of cartoony kind of phases for kids and all that. When it was in the comics, like, it wasn't necessarily geared towards kids because...
No, there's some pretty gritty stuff going on in there, especially when you're looking at a bunch of superheroes. They're trying to find themselves. They're trying to find their place in the society, be taken seriously, not be treated as children, but also deal with their own personal demons. Raven's father is forever after her. Hmm. Dick Grayson, when he joined the Titans, I was always under the impression he was already Nightwing, but I could be wrong. I'd have to go back and double check.
Yeah.
Like, he joined the Titans after he had his big fallout with Batman.
Yeah.
Like, they started bumping heads the way that, I guess any teenage boy eventually starts to knock heads with his own father. That was that relationship.
Yeah, and it looks like they're definitely going to have some of that in the series.
For sure, right? Like, when the opening sentence is, "Fuck Batman" from Robin, like, some shit went down that we're not privy to.
Yeah.
But...
Not in the sense of the 1960s way Robin would have said that about Batman.
Yeah, right, exactly. It definitely wasn't set up that way. But throughout the years, like, that's kind of been retconned, that they're falling out. His saying, "You know what, I'm tired of living under your wing," so to speak. Mm-hmm. Like, that was always retconned too. They had their falling out and they went their separate ways, but always, like, getting back together and being able to work together as equals instead of, one over the other.
A couple therapy stuff works.
Yeah, right? Exactly. The other thing that I was actually surprised about is that they have Hawk and Dove in there.
Yeah.
Like, that just kind of caught me right up. Well, one, because I don't think of Hawk and Dove as like Teen Titans.
No, like they're more of like the extended Justice League later on.
Yeah, right, exactly. But I mean, they're in there. I'm like, all right, cool. But there's all kinds of slashing and hacking and people getting stabbed in the throat. And I'm just like, shit. Like, I wasn't ready for it. I'm like, damn.
Yeah, they're going with the Man of Steel Batman kill count. Like,
right? Like, that is exactly what they're going for. And, like, I'm all for it. Like, I love me some nice, dark, gritty action, but, you know, it seems to me that they keep going for dark and gritty, and they kind of do it right, but they don't really do it that well. You know what I mean? Like,
they kind of play chicken with it a little bit. Like, they don't go both feet in. Like, they kind of run at it, and then they kind of go,
yeah, exactly. They can't jump into the pool. Like, they get right at the edge, and then they just suddenly, I don't know if it's Warner Brothers just hammers the brakes. I don't know if it's DC that hammers the brakes. Because this is DC's show and being aired on DC's streaming service, maybe they won't have Warner Brothers sticking their finger in the pie.
Well, like, DC and Warner Brothers are, like...
They are one and the same, but, like, the distribution of Warner Brothers is a little different than DC saying, listen, if you want to come over here and look at this, you have to pay us this money.
Yeah.
Because I would hate to think that they're putting the fate of their streaming service on this one show to kick it off.
Yeah. And the effects in the show, like, it's just kind of the initial trailer, but it kind of, I don't know, some of the scenes came across more like a high-end production YouTube kind of episode rather than...
Well, was it us that brought it up on the Twitter about, like, you know, more CGI doesn't necessarily mean better, like with the Inhumans?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's... Right now, when you use CGI, there's a way that you can do it really, really good, or you can do it in a manner where we're just looking at it going, you know, it's almost akin to watching Roger Rabbit. Mm-hmm. It's so bloody noticeable that it's CGI. It's not even... It just removes you from everything. It ruins the scene. And it's so bad.
It's starting to get to the point where it's now just lazy. Like, work it out, figure out a way to make it look good, rather than just slap it on a computer and put it in. Because it gets done, and a lot of people are doing it. Like, you just have to kind of figure it out. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, when you have such diverse powers with the Teen Titans, with Beast Boy turning into whatever animal he seems fit for the job at the time, Raven and her demonic powers, Starfire's powers, it can get pretty CGI heavy if you're not too careful.
Yeah, and I swear to God, if Beast Boy's, like, effects are like Animorphs from the 90s, I'm going to be really upset.
Something off the Sci-Fi Channel.
Yeah. But one thing I noticed from a bunch of these TV trailers is, like, seems like everybody's putting in for their streaming service now.
We talked about this before. Like, everybody and his brother wants a piece of that sweet, sweet streaming pie. Yeah. You know, and everybody's got to find the hook to pull you into the service. Eventually, the market's going to be oversaturated that nobody's going to give a rat's ass.
Yeah.
And I've kind of talked to streaming providers when I've canceled memberships and stuff like that. This is also the age of the internet. No matter what you think is exclusive content, it's not exclusive content. I can find it somewhere and watch it. Mm-hmm. You know, you don't need an HBO subscription to watch Game of Thrones or Westworld. You don't need CBS streaming to watch Discovery, especially if you're in Canada.
Yeah.
But, you know, DC, like, if you're going to put all your animated movies all in one spot, well, that's great, but I've already seen all of them, and on multiple occasions. So you better be able to offer something I can't get elsewhere. And by ripping everything from Netflix, that's not going to get me to come over either. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, it's just kind of one of those, like, wow, no thanks. Thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah. So another series that's coming out from the people of WB and I guess CW. I don't know if you saw the trailer for the Roswell, New Mexico, the reboot of the Roswell series from the early 2000s.
No, I didn't. I missed that one.
So it actually looks pretty cool. Like, I was kind of a fan of the initial Roswell when it came out. It was very heavy into the kind of romance stuff and came out at the same time as Smallville. So I remember seeing that, I'm pretty sure that Smallville killed it because it only went, I think, 3 seasons.
The more I think about it, the more I kind of remember seeing little blips and things on the radar about Roswell, but I never really
it was all that
dove into it.
Teen romance stuff. Angsty teens trying to
Well,
keep their hormones in check.
See, in the early 2000s, I was just getting out of that phase and couldn't run fast enough away, so I never bothered looking back.
Yeah, but with this reboot, the characters, instead of being those angsty teens, are now adults. So the character that plays Max, instead of being the brooding teen boy, he's now a sheriff.
Of course he is.
Liz is still working in the diner, and then the others are, as far as I can tell, the same as their other characters, just adult versions. That's pretty much all I got from the Roswell trailer. It's pretty much the same, just a kind of a reboot for this kind of generation.
Okay. So. It could work well. I mean, we're kind of lacking in the good TV department here, there, and everywhere, so...
Yeah, it's something different, too, so...
Mm-hmm, exactly.
And, I know you saw the trailer for Discovery Season 2. 'Cause I sent it to you.
Yeah, you did. You sure did. I'm so pumped about it. I liked the first season too, so I'm coming into this with like rose-colored glasses, the whole nine's. Like, there's a lot of like, I understand that, you know, there's a lot of people complaining about continuity and blah 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 blah. Mm-hmm. I could beleaguer that point till the day I die. I'm not too worried about that. I'm just excited to see what's happening next.
Yeah, it kind of looks like they're starting kind of trying to break out on their own track, like not kind of doing their little tips of the hat as much. They're going to still have the tips of the hat with definitely Spock. Spock's
yeah, because you see Michael going on about something like Spock's looking for this or what have you.
Yeah.
And Christopher Pike, watching the trailer, and maybe I just kind of misread it, it almost looks like he's going to be the temporary captain on Discovery.
I think it is. I think he's kind of temporarily in charge of it, just from the way it looks. And they have Anson Mount cast as Pike, which...
Oh, I know. He's a boss for that role.
He's a solid actor. Like, him in Hell on Wheels.
Mm-hmm.
Great series. He was badass in that role. And then, unfortunately, kind of got tossed the short end of the stick with the Inhumans.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was kind of bad from the get-go for him, but...
Yeah. But I'm glad they're putting him into a property that will give him...
Well, for sure. I mean, Hell on Wheels ran for like 5 seasons?
Oh, I think longer than that.
Yeah, but I mean, I only followed it for like the first 3.
Yeah.
But I mean, I loved him in that role. Like, he embodied that persona. Mm-hmm. If they had remade the gunslinger from Stephen King's The Dark Tower, he could have done that role bang on, and that's not a shot against Idris Elba. That's just a compliment to him as an actor.
Yeah. I also, every time somebody mentions a Witcher movie, I'm always like, oh, toss him in it.
Oh yeah, for sure. In a heartbeat. Like, without any question. Yeah. Throw some white long hair on that man and give him a sword and let him go.
Yeah, exactly. And it looks like he also embodies the role of Pike, just even though like we see him a few seconds splashed here and there in the trailer. Mm-hmm. He seems to kind of fit the role pretty well.
Well, Pike was always kind of like more of a stiff-necked, like, husky's not the word I'm looking for, just like a little brash, but just tough, like just, you know what I mean? Like he looks good for that role.
Mm-hmm. And the trailer shows a lot of intense action with a little bit of Lenny Kravitz playing over it, which just kind of
I was going to say that may or may not have fed to the one desire to see it all. The right soundtrack goes a long way.
Yeah, I might have listened to that trailer at a decibel that was not safe.
That's what I heard.
Yeah. And it looks like they're getting their new villains, so I have no idea what's going to be going on.
The picture of the villain looked like they had multiple arms.
Yeah.
So it could be the Tholian Queen.
I was kind of thinking Tholian too, because Tholian was like kind of the big bad in the early Trek.
Yeah, they were a big bad, but they were like, they were definitely a problem. They definitely fed the problem of the mirror universe. They messed around with that.
Yeah.
When it was done in the original series, they could only do so much with what they had.
Yeah.
Nowadays, with the technology we have, we could do a lot more, so it could be really exciting.
Yeah, and it seems like a logical step that it would be the Tholians, especially because of the mirror universe. It kind of looks like their little journey over to the other side kind of caught the attention of them or something, how it's opening up those rifts all over the place.
Yeah, and they were definitely a huge part in that. They were all about the interdimensional travel and all that jazz.
Mm-hmm. Another trailer, I'm not sure if you saw this one, Night Flyers.
No. It was, you know what? It was one of those trailers that was queued up on my list, and I never got around to it.
I popped it on just earlier today, just to kind of look at it. It's based on the George R. Martin novella from 1980.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I'm a little sideways there. It's kind of more of a sci-fi horror type. It's about a group of people that kind of take off in a spaceship to look for extraterrestrial life, and then they kind of find it, and they don't want to find it anymore.
Yeah, that's the thing about that kind of stuff. You never know what you're going to get, and more often than not, you're not going to want to get what you get.
Yeah. And the trailer actually makes it look a lot like the movie Event Horizon.
Oh, that would be good then.
Yeah.
Like that was a pretty good movie if you like that kind of spooky, weird stuff.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Event Horizon was a take on George R. R. Martin's book, but...
I don't think so. For some reason, I thought it was based off of another story, but...
It's very, very close to what it looks like in the trailer, though. Like, the ship kind of brought back something that they can't take to Earth. And
the ship's always bringing back something to Earth.
Yeah, and there's some kind of hauntingness going on.
Oh, okay,
you can't tell if it's aliens or ghosts or a little bit of both. So that's something that's going to be kind of interesting to watch. I think that's coming out on Sci-Fi.
Okay.
Maybe that's filling the slot of Sci-Fi dropping The Expanse, but...
Yeah, maybe. That could... Well, you drop something, you got to pick something back up.
Yeah, and then once this show takes off, Sci-Fi can kick that to the side too and let it, Amazon or whatever take it.
The idea is to generate want and need and then sell it to the highest bidder.
Damn, they got it.
Yeah, we really got to get in on some of that sweet action.
Yeah. Then, kind of almost along the lines of Titans there, we're getting the Young Justice Outsiders cartoon. It's going to be a continuation of the Young Justice cartoon series.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it. Like, it's something that I'm going to, like, kind of look over and have a peek, but...
Yeah.
It's of the list of things that I'm super excited for, didn't quite make my cut.
No, I like having a decent cartoon I can pop on once in a while, just kind of...
Yeah, right, exactly.
Something light and have in the background when I'm doing something. Young Justice kind of went a little more mature than you'd expect of a cartoon in their second season.
Yeah, but sometimes I find with cartoons, you have a little bit more leeway. Sometimes we as adults pick up on a little bit more, on certain themes that may completely fly over the head of our kids.
Yeah.
You know, or our kids may very well pick it up and we may be destroying the generation. I don't know which one it is yet.
Yeah, we won't be long enough.
No,
long enough to care.
Exactly.
Then another kind of throwback cartoon that's going to be coming back is Star Wars Clone Wars.
I saw that. Were they just doing the one series just to kind of wrap it all up before the events of the Revenge of the Sith?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I've only seen a little bit of I don't even think I saw like the main trailer that came out in Comic-Con. I just saw the teaser.
I read the article on it, and they were just kind of talking about, is it Netflix that's going to be streaming it?
That would make sense.
Yeah, I think Netflix picked it up, just kind of play it. It was something that I enjoyed when it was out. Like, just it's good pew 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 for when you're in the mood for that.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, it kind of got dropped out on a little bit of a cliffhanger, so they're going to definitely either wrap that up or pick it up and keep it going. It's been 5 years since it came out, so...
Yeah, because there was 2 Clone Wars series. There was one that I used to watch on the Cartoon Network. It was like a 15-minute shot. It was like fully inked and animated. And then there was the CGI one that I watched a bunch of times. Mm-hmm. And the fully inked and animated seemed to be the darker of the two, like more geared towards the adult audience.
Yeah, it definitely had some more adult themes to it.
Yeah.
The CGI one, though, it kind of got heavy in a few spots.
Yeah, well, like it. You'd expect it to. Like, it turns into a pretty heavy story. They got to kind of show certain events that would have led him to turn into what he does.
Yeah. Anakin is not going to turn into a good guy for a little while.
Yeah, no matter what you do, man. It's like watching the Titanic. No matter how much you think that boat might miss the iceberg, it's hitting the iceberg.
Yeah, he's going to slaughter some children.
No matter what you do, somebody's going to be killing some kids later on.
Yeah. And then, I didn't even know that YouTube had their streaming service up and going.
YouTube Red?
No. What's that?
I thought that was what it was called.
I don't know. This one's YouTube Original.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
I don't know. So many streaming services. They probably have 2 going. Who knows?
Yeah, you see, there you go. They all blur the lines eventually.
Yeah, so they have a couple of TV series that look kind of cool. They have one called Origin that's got Draco Malfoy.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was pretty good in The Flash in like the
Oh yeah, no, he's a cool actor. It's one of those actors that just kind of pops up. And you're like, oh shit, yeah, he is still a person.
He's still finding work. Good for him.
Yeah.
And so all I know about this one is it's space travelers that wake up on their way to a colony. So
Yeah, okay.
it looks like there's some kind of mind-bending stuff going on. Like, I don't know if the ship has some holodeck type stuff going on or
Okay, cool.
they're hallucinating. But it looks interesting. I might give it a look-see. Also on those YouTube original stuff, a series I had no idea that even existed. It's called Impulse, and it's on season 2.
Oh, okay.
And Impulse is actually a Jumper spinoff. So I don't know if you saw the movie Jumper,
I did see Jumper, yeah.
where Anakin Skywalker is now Nightcrawler and can.
Yes.
And it was a decent movie. Like,
it wasn't awful. Like it's not as bad as other movies, sure.
yeah, it got hated on pretty good, but that's just because everybody's kind of hating on Hayden Christensen at the time. So.
Well, I mean, look at what he did to Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Anakin Skywalker, but let's look at what he did to Darth Vader.
You had like a nerd. Just,
yeah, I know. I felt the nerd collective take a giant breath. I'm like, oh, okay,
Felt
yes.
a disturbance in the force.
Yeah, right. Suddenly the Earth shook a little bit to one side. I'm like, okay, everybody calm down.
Yeah, no. So this one follows a female. I guess it's got the same kind of jumping abilities. So
Yeah, okay, sure.
I'm gonna have to. There's so much on right now. It's stuff falls through.
That's just it, man.
The gaps.
When Comic-Con comes, like San Diego Comic-Con comes out, everything gets thrown at you, and at best you can keep your eyes open for what you really want, and then everything else is just, if I have time, I'm going to get to it.
Yeah, and honestly, like, don't have a whole lot of time these days.
Yeah, well, exactly right. Like,
so they kind of have to almost catch me like right in the pilot.
Yeah, well, exactly. They need to have everything up and done and good to go, and
almost gone are the days of I wait maybe half a season for the show to kind of sink its teeth into me.
See, the thing is, nowadays with like streaming services, PVRs, we tend to find other things to do and get around to it, and then we never get around to it.
Exactly. I still have most of the season of The Gifted and a whole season of Legion, like just sitting in the PVR just waiting.
Yeah, man. I had all kinds of stuff recorded. It's like, yeah, the second I have an opportunity to sit down and watch some TV, man, am I going to? And then something else comes along and grabs my attention, or something happens and it needs my attention. It's like, well, okay, eventually I'll retire and I'm going to have this giant PVR that I'm going to shake through and get everything through and think to myself, man, did I miss out when I was in my 30s.
So that pretty much does it for the TV series trailers. So do you want to switch gears and go to the movies now?
Oh, I really do. Because my buddy Shazam has his movie coming out.
Yeah, so DC really kind of stepped it up for the trailers.
Did they ever? Yeah, I mean, they dominated the trailer market this year.
Yeah. Like, they did pretty well with Man of Steel and Justice League. Even Justice League, the trailer for Justice League didn't give me a whole lot of hope.
The second Justice League went from 2 movies to 1 movie. It was like, you're doing it again. You're doing that thing when you put your fingers all over the stuff that we love, and would you just knock it off?
Yeah. Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman, like, those are probably the 2 DC movies I was excited to see based on the trailers, and not just because I'm a Superman fan, but they had it looked like they had a plan, looked like they had a direction with it. So going into this Comic-Con, we had 2 pretty significant DC properties that are going to be coming out. So with Shazam, let's start with Shazam. So
stroke. Yeah. So Shazam is the movie based off of the character Captain Marvel, whom I guess we're all just dropping the title now. Like, I guess we're just going to forsake that from now on. We're just going to just call him Shazam. Because when I was a kid, he was Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
But I guess because Marvel has their Captain Marvel movie coming out, it's just like, you know what? Everybody calls him Shazam anyway, so let's just call him Shazam. Yeah,
it was kind of a thing that got retconned, I think, in the New 52 when they dropped Captain Marvel.
Yeah, I think it started a little bit before New 52. I think it started to pop up as almost a joke in the comics where people would call him Shazam and he'd be correcting them on his name and all that jazz.
Yeah.
But it'll feature like a nice old origin story How Billy Batson, played by Asher Angel, which is a pretty boss name. I'm just going to throw that out there. Like, I read the name of the actor, I'm just like, shit, it's better than my name.
Well, it kind of sounds like he should almost be like a Jaeger.
Yeah, right? Exactly. That boy needs to be piloting giant robots.
Yeah.
So it'll focus on Billy Batson and kind of his origin story as to how he gets his powers from the wizard Shazam and basically.
You mean not the genie Kazam?
Oh yeah, probably. That's probably a good correction. But yeah, I thought it was the wizard. Maybe it is Kazam, but it's
I'm just screwing with you because there's that Shaquille O'Neal.
Oh, you're an asshole. You're a dick. I'm looking at my notes. I'm like, oh, what? You're an ass. So I'll focus on him getting his powers, getting up and going, and
I'm keeping that in, by the way.
I know you are.
Sorry, keep going.
So it'll focus on basically him trying to figure himself out as a superhero. It is the movie Big with superpowers.
That is definitely what I thought when I saw it.
Yeah, it is. It looks like it has a really more lighthearted tone. The villain is set to be Dr. Savannah. Just another baddie in the myriad of baddies in the DC universe.
Yeah, played by Mark Strong, I believe.
It is Mark Strong. And Shazam will be played by Zachary Levi. And I first saw him in the suit, and I'm like, man, those... I don't know about you, but does the suit not look like a muscle, like literally a fake muscle suit on somebody?
He's a little puffy, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not... Like, there's like Man of Steel. He looks ripped naturally. And then there's this, and it's just like, I could walk down to the Halloween store and buy one just like it and have puffy muscles. And maybe that's what they're going for. I got a chuckle out of it, but I'm not confident that's what they were going for.
I don't know. I kind of think it is because I think it's the kind of the child's interpretation of what a superhero looks like.
Oh, yeah. You know what? That's a good point, man. That makes perfect sense. Sure. I'll buy that. Yeah. But it'll kind of go along the story of him basically suddenly becoming an adult with giant superpowers, trying to figure all of them out, and then trying to figure out how to behave.
Yeah.
Billy Batson's a little bit rougher around the edges this time around. He's not the wide-eyed, sweet, innocent child from the 1960s version.
Yeah, no aw shucks moments.
Yeah, the gee shucks gollies. But I think it's kind of been retconned over time that he was kind of like a drifting foster child and just kind of having a rough go of it to begin with.
Yeah.
The one thing, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is still written down all over the internet as Black Adam.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering if maybe we're not going to have either the end of the movie or an end of credit scene, which is becoming really obnoxious. They can all piss off with that, where Black Adam suddenly shows up in Kandar. But I digress.
Yeah, it's possible.
So that's one that I'm super, super kind of excited for, if only because it's not the dark, broody movies that DC has been doing. Now, I could be very wrong. Maybe this is another case of they've written a dark, horrible movie, and just from the, it's going to be the Suicide Squad effect, and they're going to have to reshoot everything. But it looks a little bit more funny, a little bit more upbeat, and a little bit more of a relaxed tone than what we've recently been seeing from DC.
Mm-hmm. And it could be very well DC trying to kind of work at a new end of their palette, like just try something new. And
it couldn't hurt. Like, dark and broody is great and fine, and I dig it, but that's not everybody's cup of tea.
No.
And hopefully the writing's gotten a little bit better. We'll try to seal up some plot holes here, there, and everywhere. But it looks to me like it could be a fun new property for DC to play with.
Mm-hmm. And then we also got the Aquaman trailer that came out.
Mm-hmm.
Jason Momoa and Amber Heard.
What's your take on that?
It kind of like both Shazam and Aquaman almost look like they're taking a page out of Marvel.
You think so?
Yeah. So Aquaman looks almost like it's more of it's kind of like almost like a Black Panther type thing where it's him taking up the mantle of his responsibility.
Okay.
Being a leader. But it's also kind of got like that Thor Ragnarok kind of feel to it where it's going to have that kind of comedic.
Well, he kind of had that going on in Justice League.
Yeah.
He'd kind of make with the quick little one-liners here, there, and everywhere. And it's kind of like Momoa's style, right?
Yeah. But unfortunately, like Justice League didn't lend that wiggle room to that. No. It was a dark, serious movie, and then you have a character that's cracking wise in the corner. And although it was funny, it just kind of disrupted the movie a little bit. To
be sure. I found watching the trailer, it actually kind of reminded me of Wonder Woman.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's and that's not to say you're wrong on that analogy, because I think that's a solid analogy. Mm-hmm. Just watching the cinematics, the colors, the way it was presented, I kind of got the Wonder Woman feel off of it.
Oh, I could see that.
Now, Wonder Woman's one of the few things that they've gotten so bang on that, you know, if you wanted to try and get lightning in a bottle, that would probably be the franchise I would follow.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's an interesting take. I never saw it that way.
Yeah, he's kind of getting pulled back to be the new king kind of thing, so.
Yeah, well, and that's kind of the story, like Orm's just causing all kinds of shit downstairs, and
yeah, kind of like Killmonger.
Yeah, right, exactly. And he's got to go down and retake his throne and try and get the ocean all back together.
Yeah.
And I know Mira definitely plays her part, so I think I'm excited to see it. I like Momoa as an actor. I like the franchise. Like Aquaman over time is as much as he is a butt of comic book jokes. If you follow our Twitter feed, you would know exactly what we're talking about. But on the same token, he's kind of been retconned to be a little bit more of a badass, a little bit more of a domineering figure that's to be reckoned with. Mm-hmm. So no, I'm looking forward to it. Like it, not as much as Shazam, oddly enough, but definitely one that I'm looking forward to see.
Yeah. And I also like Shazam. Yeah, it kind of needs a little bit more of a backstory, but I like how Aquaman isn't necessarily going to be an origin story. It's kind of there's going to be the origin elements to it, but it looks like it's going to be taking place long after he's already established as...
Well, that's just it. Like, they don't need, you know, it's like the Batman effect. You can do the Bruce Wayne loses his parents sequence over the credits, and you don't even need the whole credits.
No.
Like, you can just do it all and get it all done and out of the way. And I think that's the same there. I think there's a little bit of exposition, and then just a continuation with the story. I don't think we need to see too much of his mother and father and his birth and this and that and this. We could do away with all that because I don't think enough people truly care about it.
Yeah, and pretty much any kind of, especially DC character, it's pretty much safe to say that their origin story is they became an orphan.
Pretty much. That's pretty much the eventually I lost my parents and ended up alone. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's the Justice League is actually just a support group.
So. It's what happens with all the unadopted orphans. They get superpowers and start doing stuff.
Yeah. Then there's the trailer that came out that just got me absolutely excited.
No, I didn't have to make any notes on this because I'm just going to let you ramble on incoherently. But what movie are we talking about, Matt?
We're talking about Glass.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
So this is the... Now, would you say this is the sequel to Unbreakable, or would you say it's the third movie in a series?
I'm going to say it's the third movie in a series that was never really intended to be a series. Mm-hmm. Unbreakable, I think, was M. Night Shyamalan at kind of the peak of his career, making good movies before he kind of got weird with The Village and Lady in the Water. But Unbreakable, I remember seeing it and just thinking, like, this is, like, the coolest thing ever. Like, it's not dressed up like a superhero movie. And then I remember... it's been like so long since the first time I saw it, but I remember sitting down not knowing it was a superhero movie. I'm pretty sure my parents rented it from Blockbuster, and they popped it in, and I just watched it. I thought it was some sort of dark kind of gray,
sure, spooky, what's going on sort of deal. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden stuff starts happening, and then it's like a superhero, and there's kind of light at the end of the tunnel all of a sudden that wasn't there before.
I found that I saw it in theaters when it came out, and we went in, and it was just kind of one of those. Yeah, it looks like a cool movie. Like we'll have a look. Like again, M. Night Shyamalan at his peak, right? It was shortly after Signs, I believe.
Before Signs, slightly after Sixth Sense.
Was it? I thought Signs was in between the two.
Was it?
Maybe, I don't know. So anyway. But it was in that like time frame where it was just like, holy shit, and like solid movies before we got into the everything is a twist joke. And I remember seeing it and thinking to myself, like, this is cool premise, cool movie. And then like halfway through, it's all about superpowers and superheroes. I'm like, oh, I'm all in.
Yeah.
I'm all in. And then I never saw, you know what? I still haven't seen Split.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still haven't seen that one.
Still haven't seen Split.
Nope. No, I think we just talked about why I haven't watched everything I'm supposed to watch.
That's true. Yeah, no, like it was awesome. Like you got Bruce Willis, you got Samuel L. Jackson. Like both are very solid actors. You put both of them in one movie, you're gonna be having a good movie.
Absolutely.
And then Split, also a great movie. One of the best things about the movie, though, is you have no idea it's a sequel to Unbreakable. So now that Glass is coming out, I can openly say that without wrecking for people, because it's cat's out of the bag. It's ruined.
I was going to say, that story that it's been part of the Unbreakable universe, it's been out for a while. I don't think you're really surprising anybody by saying that.
No, and it's kind of like, goes back to that scene in Ready Player One where it's that shining scene where you're kind of like looking at the person next to you being like, oh.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
You haven't seen it yet?
Yeah, you don't know what's coming.
So it's kind of like that where with Split, the whole movie, you have no idea that it ties into the Unbreakable universe. And then all of a sudden at the end, drops Bruce Willis in it, and he's there trying to go after the Beast.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
See, I more or less know how it ends, so I don't think we're letting, there is that grace period where you're allowed to start talking about spoilers.
Yeah, and it's a great movie either way. Like, highly recommend watching it. And then now we got Glass, which looks really interesting. Like, M. Night Shyamalan's kind of sneakily built up this superhero universe that is outside of the normal realm of DC, Marvel, and all the other ones that have built up.
Yeah, and you know what? If he treats it well enough, there's enough there to work with.
Yeah.
Like the whole premise of Unbreakable was Mr. Glass finding Bruce Willis, because if he was that easily broken, there had to be somebody on the other end of the spectrum. Mm-hmm. So it's all about, you find somebody at their worst, there has to be somebody at their best. I mean, you could do all kinds of weird things with that. Mm-hmm. And like you said, have your own little superhero universe separate from the mainstream superheroes. And do it well, because Unbreakable, I know I had a good time. Like you said, Split's a pretty good movie, so I know I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah, and so from the trailer, it looks like the three of them are in some sort of mental institute, and
they're in counseling together.
Yeah, and the doctor's trying to do some sort of therapy for people that believe they have superpowers. So it's kind of it's going to be interesting, because it's kind of like, is M. Night Shyamalan going to build up this awesome superhero universe just to kind of, once again, do the little twist? Oh, they're all crazy. Surprise, they don't actually have powers.
Yeah, it's all in their head. Tra-la-la.
Yeah. So I'm really hoping that that's not going to happen, and that he's actually building this thing for something more.
It would be hard-pressed, because then you'd have to retcon Bruce Willis's character as to, it was all in his mind that he survived the massive train accident. It's all in Mr. Glass's head that his bones are as brittle as they are. Mm-hmm. The Beast is the Beast. Like, he's all kinds of split personalities. And you see, I think it's near the end of the trailer where he's doing, like, the giant leopard leap while he's running away or some crazy shit.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if it's all in their head, is that really... I don't want him to do what he does to all his other movies. I want him to just really bear down on this one and really make this universe what it could be.
Yeah, and it was tough to tell, because it did kind of, like, they could be as breakable as they actually are, and Bruce Willis could have survived the train accident, and maybe him surviving the train accident was a freak stroke of luck, and because of it, he thinks now he's invincible. But
well, he was also doing the vigilante thing too for a little while, right? Like, that was,
yeah. He
started wearing his security guard poncho and going out and kicking some ass.
Yeah, but no, it looks pretty promising. Like, I liked both movies, so it's nice to kind of see a different from the mainstream comic book movies. So, well,
just, I mean, as a whole for myself, just cutting away from it, I like watching Samuel L. Jackson do his thing. So that in itself is a huge selling point for me. I'm hot and cold on Bruce Willis. I could care less one way or the other, but he's still a solid actor. So, I mean,
usually a pretty big Bruce Willis fan.
Yeah, are you? Okay.
Yeah. There's very little that he's done that I don't like, but
Gotcha.
I'm sure you could probably toss out one, and I'd be like, yeah.
If I just really needed to find one, I probably could, but I'm good on all that.
Like the whole 9 yards and all that. Like he's. But anyways, moving on from that, another trailer that came out. Both you and me, huge Godzilla fans.
Absolutely. So,
what did you think of this one?
You see, no matter how bad a Godzilla movie might be, it'll never be the 1999. I think it was 99 Godzilla movie.
Yeah.
So I heard about this right when King Kong Skull Island was released, and they were going to be opening up this universe.
Yep.
So I'm thrilled. Like, I can't get enough of Godzilla and like the classic giant movie monsters.
Mm-hmm. That's definitely what this one looks like. And from the trailer, it's an interesting kind of look at the whole monster universe. The actual way the trailer kind of plays doesn't really do it justice, I don't think, because it got like the weird music over top of it. But it looks like the one woman is trying to wake up all the Titans so that they can all kind of hit the reset button on Earth.
Yeah.
And then you got the group that kind of doesn't want it. You get like Millie Bobby Brown from Stranger Things.
Yeah. Isn't she working for the Monarch Corporation or some goddamn thing?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I can't remember. I really can't remember. But I know that we were going to be going into this kind of realm of the giant movie monsters for a while. Mm-hmm. And I was all for it. Like the if you ever stuck around for the after credit scene for King Kong, because why not have everybody do that horse shit? They were showing you like Godzilla, Rodan, Mothra, King Ghidorah, like all that sort of stuff. Like I was just like, where are those movies? Yeah. I'll take those over King Kong any day. But we'll see. I have high hopes for it myself.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's like when we went to see Pacific Rim. You got to know what you're walking into.
Mm-hmm.
If you expect anything more from like a giant monster movie outside of giant monsters, I don't think you're going to enjoy it as much as if you're just like, you know what, I'm going to go see some giant monsters.
Yeah. No, definitely. Like, you got to keep that in mind. Just as long as they don't make it any kind of social commentary.
I was gonna say, like, as long as we try to stay away from the "we're doing this to the Earth" kind of like, that's where these giant monster movies came from with the nuclear testing in the 50s and shit, and I get that.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes I just want to turn that off for a little bit and just kind of turn my brain off for a second.
Yeah, you want to watch a giant lizard slug a giant monkey.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm really not looking for complex dialogue in these movies. I'm really just looking for giant monsters to fight each other. I don't think that's too much to ask myself.
No. And so my last pick that I have here, that from what I kind of devoted my internet watching time to, was Overlord.
I did not catch that one.
No?
No.
So Overlord is a new movie coming up from J.J. Abrams.
Okay.
And it's all about World War II.
Okay.
And it's a group of soldiers that get dropped in Nazi-occupied territory in Europe. And then find out, unfortunately, that Nazis have been playing with zombie stuff.
Oh, I'm in it already. I'm in it already. I'm down.
Yeah, so it's going to be a zombie movie set in World War II. Kind of like Nazi zombies, I guess.
Yeah, okay. I'm down with that. Nazi Zombies was a good movie, if you don't mind a subtitled movie.
Yeah.
While we're talking about zombies, one of the big pieces of information to come out of SDCC, although it's kind of like the worst kept secret going. Andrew Lincoln of Rick Grimes fame on The Walking Dead, he's not coming back after the season. Mm-hmm. They're going to be getting rid of Crazy Rick.
I actually heard that Shane's coming back for the season.
I thought Shane was dead.
Shane is dead.
Okay, good. Good.
Yeah.
Let's see some dead Shane.
Yeah, I think he's going to be there to kind of walk Rick to the end.
I guess if we're going to do like a bunch of flashbacks and stuff like that, Shane would play a part. I could actually see his wife there, the woman that played his wife.
Yeah, it could either be flashbacks or it could be like the devil and angel on the shoulder kind of thing of him spiraling out.
Yeah, I like that because he is 7 bags of crazy, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's actually a really good take. I like that idea.
Yeah, I haven't read that anywhere. I'm sure it's probably out there. If not, AMC, you can sign me up to give me money if you want.
I'll just throw you money for the ideas.
Yeah. I'll just sit in a basement all day tossing ideas at production companies.
Oh, there you go. We don't even have to start Patreon. We can just say stuff into a microphone and whatever sticks. We just demand money. We'll just start sending tapes of our voices and ideas to everybody and see what sticks.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. We're going to get that big internet, Rich. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, maybe someday.
Yeah, right.
All right. So that kind of taps out my my time that I had of flipping through the Comic-Con stuff.
There's 100 other things that we didn't talk about, but we said before, there's so much going on at San Diego Comic-Con. I mean, there's a whole lot going on at any Comic-Con, but San Diego is the big one. E3 is the big thing for video games. There's always so much thrown at you that it's hard to take it all in and report on all of it because we are two men and not a giant team of podcast reporters.
Yeah, tons of stuff from Comic-Con that we didn't talk about, like all of the TV series that we love, as long as we haven't talked about it in the last episode, the ones that were canceled, all their trailers were dropped for their next season. So.
All the TV shows were dropped. There was huge announcements on the actual physical comic book front. Who's doing what? Who's writing this? Who's inking that? There's all kinds of video shots, panels. Tom King of DC fame was.
Welcome back to Nerdium, the podcast that researches all of the world's main events and issues, just so that we can accurately avoid talking about them and focusing on the real important things like gaming, comics, and what's good to watch. I'm your host Matt, and as always, my co-host, the goose to my maverick, Carrie the Big Bald Nerd. We're back after our long break, where Carrie disappeared into the wild, and I toured the countryside solving mysteries and collecting bottle caps. San Diego Comic-Con has just passed and dropped a myriad of goodies to tantalize us nerds. I'm sure some of us have already started dutifully working on their YouTube analysis videos, breaking down every frame of every trailer just for some Easter eggs. Carrie and I recap some of our most memorable moments to come out from this year's Comic-Con. So, when you're ready, let's get back at it. Carrie, hit the music.
There, Jeff Johns was running around. I only mentioned those because I follow DC. A bunch of Marvel guys were there running around. It's just so huge and so big. If we were a bunch of people, if we were a couple of guys that were really into cosplay, we could have spent an hour talking about cosplay, not like back to back with all the cosplay models there.
Yeah.
Like there's just so much. So if we missed anything, or you want us to talk about something else, give us a shout. Like what was your big takeaways from Comic-Con this year?
Yeah, if you went, feel free to share some of the pictures you took.
Yeah, and by all means, invite us next year because we'll fly ourselves out there. Just. All right, I'll surf a couch all weekend. I'm not too picky about that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Well, I'm a man of little means.
All right, so hit us up on our social media or drop us a line at our nerdiumpodcast@gmail.com. And then hopefully we don't have another huge long break between the next episode.
Well, I think we managed to work the kinks out of the equipment and we've locked Steve away so he doesn't touch anything ever again.
Yeah, goddamn Steve.
I think that's pretty good. We've gotten our summer vacation out of the way and we can kind of sally forth and get back to doing what we love, just rambling incoherently into microphones.
Sounds good. All right, you stay classy, San Diego.